Hi, Phil Rosebrook here with Business Mentors. I wanted to put together a video as a follow-up from my presentation at the Boulder Air Conference about a month ago. And this also maybe could be a prequel to the video or the presentation I'll also be doing in the Crawford meeting coming up about another 2 weeks. So this is a good time. It's been about a month, and so in that presentation we talked about knowing where you're going and creating a scalable infrastructure for growth and profitability in your business. And so I figured, hey, let's do a checkup and see what happens. So let's do a review and then talk about the things going on in your business. In my presentation, the first thing we talked about is when you define where you're going, you have to decide who you are first. And so the first thing we talked about is identifying your corporate mission, vision, and goals. You have to know who you are before you can identify where you're going. And so it wasn't a real long discussion on that because that in itself is a presentation, a complete presentation. But my thought is that you really should spend some time, look at those things in your business, identify who you are, and then you can identify where you're going. Then we also talked about identifying your market position, because there's a lot of competition in every market that you're in. And so you have to identify what your unique selling position is and how you fit in that marketplace, trying to define an area where perhaps you can be successful, areas where your competition's not, whatever it is. So take a look in your business and make sure that, that you have a plan to identify your niche in your marketplace and how you're going to be successful in comparison to your competition. And then nextly, we identify the need to get your numbers right, to really understand your financials and to understand the benchmarks and metrics in your business. And there's a lot of resources to do that. But if you don't have that, you have to become really subjective in your management. And if we're tracking and trying to create a successful business, then we have to have a scoreboard. We have to have some metrics. We have to know how we're doing along the way to know where we're going. So it's not just a guess to see at the end whether we accomplished and met our goals and expectations, but we've got record keeping along the way to make sure that we're on track. And then along with that, we also talked about the need and opportunity for cash and capital in your business, and that is you can either generate that internally through operations, or this is something that work with a bank, work with your partners, figure out a way to backstop the success in your business and to finance growth, especially in a business that often is cash poor. So, once you've done those things, we did discuss a balanced organization as well. Too often, as you're growing your business, you end up getting, you get pressures in your organization, and whether it's customer service or profitability or financials or production needs or invoicing or cash or collections, all those things can really become overwhelming. And as entrepreneurs, we go drive the greatest, biggest need, as opposed to taking a look and saying, how do we expand these things together at the same time? And if we can do that, we can create this balanced organization that says, hey, we can be successful as we control and we inflate this balloon and we focus on successful operations versus solving problems all the time. And not to be overlooked, we also talked about being exceptional. If we focus on our business and we really have to focus on the work that we're doing, we have to look every day, gosh, is our quality there? This should be second nature. We have to be truly exceptional at what we do, so we can focus on the how we do rather than the what we do. So if we're going to be a good drying company or a good mold company, we don't have to guess whether we're doing a good job. We're just doing it every single day because that's how we operate our business. And that's a function of training and measurements and quality checks and expectations and how we hire people and onboard them and all those things. So be excellent. Be truly exceptional at what you do. Define your organizational structure. Make it clear who reports to who and who's responsible for what areas in your business. This takes away a lot of the guesswork out of your business, and then you have shared cooperation in your business. And people know what they're doing, and they know their expectations, and they know who their boss is, and it removes the distractions or the uncertainty in organizations. Once we've done this, we can identify KPIs in your business. These KPIs are the areas that people are measured on a daily basis. These are short-term victories. These are have your employees share in developing and owning the KPIs for their business. Once we've accomplished these things, we can really set a plan for growth. This is a lot of times people look and say, okay, our first step is to identify our growth plan and to market and to build that business. But if we fail to do the previous things, then that growth is going to be tough to sustain. And so we take a step and do first things first. We develop a growth plan, and then we work on the situation, the things that we need to do in our business in order to create a successful, scalable, growing business. The next step is to identify your leadership team. Who's going to help hold each other accountable, and where are we going to talk strategy, and who's a part of that process? So have you developed a leadership team, and have you developed a rhythm for your meetings for that team? You guys should be meeting at a minimum once a month and likely on a weekly basis to really discuss how you're doing and where you're going. And then identify a communication plan. What kind of meetings do you have in your company? What kind of messaging are you doing? What's your big picture discussions internally and externally? And what kind of employee meetings and staff meetings and departmental meetings have you done or do you identify in your company in order to properly discuss how we're doing and where we're going? And then I think once we've done these things, we get to this point of fine-tuning. Fine-tuning is really making sure that those processes you've identified are the right processes, and maybe we need to start looking at some new things. And so the leadership team can start identifying the areas in our business that we need to focus on next. What are our short-term victories, the next 90-day plan, the next 12-month plan? And so this leadership team is discussing these things, and we're looking at what the next step is. And we're always pushing the boundaries and making sure that we're growing and going somewhere and being a company of value that's providing value for our clients at the time. So, and once we've done all these things, let's grow. Let's grow. Let's really go out there and, I think I was talking to somebody or listening to somebody talking about leadership, and they said, let's not teach people to go walk on water. Let's teach them to walk and then teach them to run where they thought they could only walk before. And so at this point, we're ready for growth, and we're ready to start running. We're ready to take the training wheels off and create a truly exceptional company. So anyhow, those are my thoughts and kind of a summary for what we talked about at the AIR conference. And my challenge to you is to sit down and really put together a strategy to figure out where it is you're going and how you're going to get there. And potentially bring in somebody from the outside and talk about what we can do in order to make sure that we're making money and being successful, and you have somebody holding you accountable to this process. So that's my thoughts. If you want to send an email and you want to discuss this, that's great. My email is Phillip@BusinessMentors. That's Phillip with two L's, two P's too, incidentally. But Phillip@BusinessMentors.net. And I wish you great success in this process. And if there's anything that we can do to help you along the way, please reach out. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.